My name is Chris Hewitson, and this is my Informing Context presentation. My practice addresses changes in memory over time. Using personal archive, internet material, rephotography and blended images, and new photographs, I show how photographic record and memory do not coincide, how photographs misrepresent memory, and as far as memory is concerned, a photograph can be only a metaphor. Many people think of human memory as akin to a computer that encodes, stores and retrieves information, and while this may contain some truth, both computers and the human memory are not infallible. As forensic psychologist Scott Fraser tells us, below the level of our awareness, the brain fills in information that was not there, so not originally stored. It came from inference, from speculation, from sources of information that come to you as the observer after the observation. But it happens without awareness, such that you aren't even cognizant of it occurring. It's called reconstructed memory. It happens to us all in all aspects of our life, all the time. It is surely in recognition of this fallibility of memory that we turn to photographs as a repository of our memories. We believe that the image they contain is more reliable than our own memory. Yet as Sontag argues, this is not the case at all, for photographs give people an imaginary possession of a past that is unreal. Photographer Suzanne Levine and poet Kristin Prevelet observe that the problem posed by memories is that they are not contained in anything. They are fragments of information, and they are not only visual but also sensory, tactile and oral. They assemble when triggered in our entire mind-body system. We collect fragments of information, and sometimes those fragments consolidate into mental pictures, but in reality, they are but proteins and other chemicals maintaining connections and communicating with each other. In my present research, I am pursuing the idea that a defunct tramway system in southern France can be conceived of as a metaphor for memory. I considered whether metaphors can only work where our interlocutors share a similar experience of the thing being described and the thing being used for comparison. As I explored this idea, I encountered many clichés as stand-ins for memory, such as veins in a leaf, filing cabinets, etc. Reflecting on my own memory and my observations of how others use theirs, it seemed to me that these generally accepted metaphors were formulaic and many had lost their resonance. And with this realisation, I felt free to create my own metaphors. Moira O'Neill writes of cognitive scientists who have shown that thinking with metaphors allows people to create maps in their minds, establish relationships between different experiences, and interpret and draw new inferences about how things might work in another domain. New problems are solved based on past experiences solving similar problems. These maps, based on metaphorical thinking, are shown to be very durable. Once a map has proven effective, it can be difficult to change. Cognitive researchers refer to this as the stubbornness of metaphorical reasoning, hence the cliched metaphors about memory that I encountered. What piqued my attention about the defunct tramway and its potential as a metaphor for memory was that although most of the tram system was dismantled after 1932, numerous features remained disguised in the landscape as picnic areas or storerooms or whatever, with folk memory of the tramway rekindled locally by periodic commemorative events. I also knew that from inception in 1902 to closure in 1932, the tramway contributed to huge changes in local culture, and I saw this as a metaphor for new memories being created and stored. I felt able to compare my own memory with this scenario, laying down strong memories as a child, a lifetime of adding new memories that lay over old ones, at my present age observing that memories from other times in my life stretch, fold and mingle with more recent memories, and that the memory itself functions in a different way, at times appearing unreliable, while overall brain power continues undiminished. Thinking of ways to lead viewers into my metaphors, I was inspired by the work of Sultan and Mandel, whose 1977 photo book, Evidence, uses archive material to appropriate and decontextualize images. Drawing from this example, I experimented by proceeding my new work with photographs from my family archive to denote a lifelong continuum of memories to which I still feel connected. Studying these images, though, I often saw that what was shown on a photograph did not coincide with my memory. For example, when I see a photograph of me as a 10-year-old on a seaside holiday in a photo booth with my mother, it doesn't remind me of the decisive moment when the flashbulb popped, but of spending hours fascinatedly watching the fishing boats return to harbour. I also recognise that I have memories of events I never witnessed and of people I never met, but encountered through media outlets. Without representing these memories in some way, even a brief tour of my memory would be incomplete. I couldn't go back in time to re-photograph those events, but I was reminded that Liz Wells and Annette Kuhn see family pictures interleaving with social events and culture and new technology, opening up new relationships between those who take and those who view photographs. I decided to experiment by creating a route into my memory using just a few carefully selected examples from my family photographs and images available via the technology of the internet. I began this project by re-photographing scenes from original photographs of the tramway and blending the old and re-photographed images together. I tested results with my neighbours, and one in particular was horrified. He seemed to believe that in some preternatural way I had cut into the fabric of time, torn it apart, and stitched together a street event from 100 years ago with the same stretch of street today. I had to reassure him that the image had been achieved on a computer and that I had not interfered with the makeup of the universe. Other neighbours, also well acquainted with the site of the re-photographs, were fascinated by the effect of blending old and new images. Observing these reactions, I realised that these blended images are impactful, provoking a range of reactions in which people are disturbed in some way by the enclosing of the passage of time within the frame of a single manufactured photograph. In our own brains, of course, old memories and new occurrences are constantly colliding, as our psyche is forever searching for stored material to show us alongside new experiences, so we can compare them and learn on the hoof how to accommodate the constant flow of information. The final section of the work alludes to the working of the memory itself, and for which I have prepared a brief series of new photographs. While exploring the remains of the tramway system, I found a 30-metre long tunnel, built in 1904 to lessen the curvature of a hairpin bend, and abandoned in 1932. The moment I stepped into the tunnel, I knew I was in a unique space. For some time, as I stood very still in there, absorbing the special atmosphere, I began to understand the tunnel as a metaphor not just for memory, but for the mind, our sense of time, change, and even life itself. I visited the tunnel often to make photographs from different perspectives, inside, outside, and in different weather and light conditions. My first task was to find a way in for my viewer, allowing just a hint of the interior, with the intention of engaging the viewer's curiosity and arousing a wish to know more about the intriguing space within. Here, the inside of the tunnel represents my own memory, with its hodgepodge of information, images and remembrances represented in the archive photographs I have used, together with the twists of time and space depicted as metaphors in the blended photographs. Inside the memory tunnel, I see patterns created in the cracked mud and in the stone walls as echoes of the physical structures of the mind. I perceive the sunlight beyond the tunnel as enlightenment, and the tunnel's exit into nature as a metaphor for the way we purposefully organise and use memory. This is a work in progress, so I now see beyond the present phase and on to further exploration of the symbolic potential of the tunnel. As we have now passed the halfway stage of the Informing Context module, I will remain with the work in its present iteration, for there is still much to do before I can present it for assessment. But if circumstances permit, I shall return to take it in a new direction in the next module. Early in my current research, I saw how paper aesthetically affects the atmosphere in a photograph, so I have been conducting experiments in the making of paper on which to print and display my work, as well as to reduce its environmental impact. However, the pleasing results I obtained were at a cost to the nozzles on my printer, and I am still working to find a solution to this problem. Fortunately, I have found collaborators to assist me in this area of my work, and their support is invaluable. Once the work is printed and ready for display, I plan to mount it as a pop-up installation inside the tunnel and present a video of me doing this as the outcome of this phase of my project's development.